Old Hollywood dazzled the world with its glimmering lights, sophisticated premieres, and stars who seemed almost untouchable. But behind the velvet curtains and charismatic smiles lay stories that most studios worked tirelessly to keep out of the headlines. The golden age of cinema wasn't just about iconic performances on screen. It was also about secret romances, forbidden liaisons, and shocking twists that shaped the personal lives of the biggest names in entertainment. The truth is, Hollywood's image was never as straightforward as the silver screen suggested. Hidden within lavish mansions and backstage whispers were relationships marked by heartbreak, betrayal, and even scandalous agreements that involved major film studios. Love and career often collided, leaving these stars trapped between their heart's desires and public expectations. Today, let's peel back the glamour and reveal the hidden stories, turbulent affairs, and game-changing secrets that shook Tinseltown to its core. Section 1. Taboo and Forbidden Affairs, Anthony Perkins and Tab Hunter. Our first glimpse into the clandestine side of old Hollywood starts with two names that graced countless posters in the 1950s, Anthony Perkins and Tab Hunter. Both were celebrated for their striking good looks, boyish charm, and innate acting talent. In a time when certain relationships were neither accepted nor openly acknowledged, Perkins and Hunter navigated one of the industry's most secret love stories. They met at the famed Chateau Marmont, a place known for its legendary parties and confidential affairs. Sparks flew instantly, but the backdrop of 1950s morality made it nearly impossible for them to be open about their bond. Instead, they orchestrated double dates with actresses and maintained a facade of good friends who just happened to work and socialize in the same circles. This hush-hush affair went on for years. Their careers soared, yet the need to hide from prying eyes put a strain on both men. The increasing personal and professional competition eventually created an unbridgeable distance. When Perkins landed a key film role that Hunter had once played on television, tensions rose to a breaking point. They parted ways, each forging separate paths in Hollywood. Even so, rumors of their earlier involvement followed them for decades, becoming an enduring reminder of how love sometimes had to hide in old Hollywood. Cary Grant and Randolph Scott. Another notorious friendship that made the rumor mill churn involved Cary Grant and Randolph Scott. Both men were among Hollywood's most admired leading actors, known for their polished appearances and charm that captured audiences worldwide. They met in the 1930s, and almost immediately, whispers circulated that their relationship might be more personal than the industry wanted people to believe. Some insiders claimed their closeness went beyond platonic camaraderie. They lived together in a Malibu beach house where they hosted poolside gatherings with fellow Hollywood elite. Photos from this period show them laughing and smiling in a way that only fueled the speculation. Neither Grant nor Scott officially confirmed anything, and studios were quick to arrange public dates with actresses to maintain their masculine, heterosexual image. Yet the repeated marriages of Cary Grant and the constant swirl of conjecture around Randolph Scott's private life never truly silenced the rumors. In an era when any suggestion of an unconventional relationship could derail a career, these two men chose discretion over open acknowledgement. Their alleged romance stands as one of old Hollywood's most whispered-about enigmas, challenging the era's rigid ideas of sexuality and stardom. These tangled affairs were only the beginning. The golden age was filled with even bigger secrets. Some led to shocking scandals that threatened entire careers. Section 2. Scandals that shook reputations. Clark Gable and Loretta Young. Clark Gable, often hailed as the king of Hollywood, seemed to have an effortless charm that could disarm almost anyone. Loretta Young, known for her angelic roles and virtuous public persona, found herself caught in a controversy that wouldn't come to light until many years later. In 1935, while filming Call of the Wild, Gable was still married. Young, just 23, found herself drawn to his charisma. According to later revelations, accusations surfaced that Gable forced himself on Young during their time together, resulting in a pregnancy that could have derailed both of their careers. Hollywood's moral code at the time was unforgiving. An unmarried actress carrying a child was scandal enough, let alone one fathered by a married star. Young chose a drastic path. She quietly left the spotlight until her baby, Judy, was born. To cover the scandal, Judy was placed in an adoption setting, only for Loretta to adopt her officially soon after, presenting her to the public as an orphan in need of a home. Gable, for his part, steered clear of the child. He gave no financial support and rarely showed any paternal interest. Only decades later did Loretta Young's memoirs clarify the rumors, revealing the heartbreaking truth of a secret that had hovered over Hollywood for years. Charlie Chaplin and Lita Grey. The comedic genius of Charlie Chaplin masked a personal life that at times was far from laughter and lightheartedness. In the 1920s, Chaplin reigned as one of the biggest stars in the world, adored for his iconic tramp character. Yet behind this lovable on-screen persona lay an affair that stirred one of the era's most shocking scandals. Chaplin met Lita Grey when she was still a teenager, working on his film sets. By the time she was 16, rumors spread that the two were involved, though they strove to keep it hidden. When Lita became pregnant, the news could have spelled instant ruin for Chaplin's sterling public image. Panicked, he whisked her away to a secret wedding in Mexico in 1924, hoping to keep the press at bay. But the union was turbulent from the start. By 1927, their divorce proceedings grabbed headlines across the globe. Allegations of Chaplin's controlling behavior, frequent affairs, and Lita's unhappiness painted a stark picture of the private life he'd struggled to hide. The legal battle became a feeding frenzy for the tabloids, tarnishing Chaplin's reputation even as he continued producing critically acclaimed films. The scandal underscored just how closely Hollywood stardom and personal peril could be entwined. While some stars tried to hide behind quick-fix marriages, others found themselves in studio-arranged unions, partnerships more for image than for real love. Section 3. Arranged marriages and studio cover-ups. Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor. Hollywood studios in the mid-20th century had more power over actors' personal lives than many people realize. One striking example was the marriage of Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor. Stanwyck, a formidable talent, known for her strong, no-nonsense roles, paired with the tall and sophisticated Taylor, who was immensely popular at the box office. Their marriage in 1939 was widely publicized, but rumors soon began to swirl that the union was orchestrated to boost their star value and quell any speculation about their private choices. Hollywood was rife with gossip that Stanwyck was fiercely independent in ways that seemed unusual for an era demanding traditional women. Taylor, meanwhile, faced allegations of involvement with multiple female co-stars, fueling the notion that their union might be a facade. For more than a decade, they appeared together at public events, exuding grace and glamour. Yet behind the scenes, they led mostly separate lives. By 1951, they divorced. Even decades after, speculation persisted. Was this a marriage of genuine affection or the product of a system that preferred tidy narratives over complex truths. The question has never been definitively answered, leaving their story a persistent Hollywood mystery. Liza Minnelli and Peter Allen. The daughter of the legendary Judy Garland, Liza Minnelli grew up in the spotlight. She married Peter Allen, a dynamic Australian performer, hoping to find stability amid a life marked by her mother's struggles and her own rapid fame. What she discovered instead was a husband harboring secrets about his own identity. Allen, who had been mentored by Garland, was handsome, charming, and talented, but deep down, he was also a man who did not find romantic fulfillment with women. According to Minnelli's later recollections, she realized the truth on their wedding night, catching him in a compromising situation that revealed he was more attracted to men than to her. The subsequent years proved complicated. Minnelli tried to cope by throwing herself into her work, even carrying on an affair of her own. Allen, meanwhile, continued seeing other men, including, shockingly, one of Minnelli's stepfathers. Their marriage unraveled, leading to an eventual divorce in 1974. Despite the heartbreak and public scrutiny, Minnelli emerged with a deeper understanding of herself and the complexities of love, a lesson Hollywood's illusions can rarely hide. Some of these unions fell apart behind closed doors. Others ended in abrupt tragedies that shattered the glamorous veneer almost overnight. Section 4. Passionate affairs ending in tragedy. Clark Gable and Carole Lombard. Clark Gable reappears in our hidden histories, this time tied to a love story, both breathtaking and tragic. When Gable and Carole Lombard married in 1939, they were the toast of Hollywood. Gable had recently shot to legendary status, playing Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind, while Lombard was adored for her comedic brilliance and spirited personality. Despite their fame, the pair preferred a quieter life away from the frenetic social scene. They bought a ranch, cared for animals, and spent time in the outdoors rather than the Hollywood clubs. Their affection seemed authentic and sincere, two major stars finding solace in each other's company. But fate intervened all too soon. In 1942, Lombard boarded a flight for a war bond tour. On the return trip, her plane crashed in Nevada, killing everyone on board. Gable was devastated, blaming himself for not discouraging her from flying. He enlisted in the U.S. Army Air Forces shortly after, seeking a sense of purpose amid his grief. Even after he remarried years later, Gable requested to be buried beside Carole Lombard, a poignant final testament to their enduring, if short-lived, love. Jean Harlow and William Powell. Another romance that flickered brilliantly before being snuffed out too soon was that of platinum blonde icon Jean Harlow and the debonair William Powell. Harlow was the embodiment of bombshell glamour in the 1930s, while Powell exuded a cultured wit that audiences adored, particularly in his Thin Man movies. They fell deeply in love, but kept their bond low profile. Powell, once burned by marriage, was hesitant to walk down the aisle again, even though he showered Harlow with care and lavish gifts. Their closeness suggested a deeper commitment than any official ceremony could provide. Tragically, at the height of her career, Harlow fell gravely ill, eventually succumbing to kidney failure at just 26. Powell, heartbroken, arranged her burial in a gown he'd gifted her, ensuring that her memory remained as gracefully iconic as she had been in life. In the aftermath, he rarely spoke of their romance, and friends claimed he never fully recovered from the loss. Their love story stands as a tender reminder of how fleeting life and love could be in an industry built on grand illusions. While some romances ended in sadness, others spiraled into intense cycles of betrayal, jealousy, and self-destruction, exposing a darker side of Hollywood passions. Section 5. Turbulent relationships and shocking revelations. Marlon Brando and Rita Moreno. Marlon Brando's magnetic presence lit up every film he touched, from A Streetcar Named Desire to On the Waterfront. Yet behind the scenes, his personal life was a constant storm of affairs, betrayals, and unbridled passion, most famously with Rita Moreno. They met in 1954, igniting a connection Moreno described as scorching. She was young and fell hard for Brando's charisma, but their relationship became a roller coaster of Brando's infidelities and Moreno's anguish. She later admitted that no other man could compete with Brando's allure, which trapped her in a cycle of heartbreak. When Moreno tried to break free by briefly dating Elvis Presley, Brando unleashed a jealous rage. Still, she could not fully escape him until a crisis forced her hand. Moreno became pregnant, and Brando pressured her to end the pregnancy. The ordeal went horribly wrong, both physically and emotionally scarring Moreno. His indifference to her suffering pushed her to a breaking point, and she made a desperate attempt on her own life. Surviving that dark moment opened her eyes to the toxic nature of their bond. Though they parted ways, their intense affair remains one of Hollywood's most dramatic love-hate stories. Gary Cooper and Lupe Velez. Not all tempestuous romances were confined to rumor. Gary Cooper, a tall, soft-spoken star, was a sharp contrast to Lupe Velez, a fiery actress whose volatility earned her the nickname the Mexican Spitfire. When they fell in love in 1929, sparks flew. Their passionate fights became legend around town. In one alleged confrontation, Velez chased Cooper with a knife, leaving him with a wound that required stitches. Another time, as Cooper was about to board a train, Velez supposedly fired a shot at him in a fit of rage. Friends claimed the two were hooked on each other's intensity, always teetering between deep affection and explosive blow-ups. Meanwhile, Cooper was entangled in rumors suggesting he was also drawn to certain male friends, though nothing was ever confirmed. Velez, jealous and determined, tried to keep Cooper by her side, but their relationship was too combustible to last. They eventually split, yet the public's fascination never waned. Even years later, stories of their battles circulated as testament to the wild lengths Hollywood legends sometimes went for love. Fiery affairs sometimes ended quietly, but others erupted into violent tragedies that forced the courts and the public to confront Hollywood's ugliest secrets. Section 6. Dangerous Liaisons and Deadly Consequences. Lana Turner and Johnny Stompanato. If there's one story that truly captured Hollywood's capacity for danger, it's the relationship between screen siren Lana Turner and gangster Johnny Stompanato. Turner was luminous, famed for her roles in film noir dramas. Stompanato was tied to underworld figures, known for his controlling temper and deep jealousy. Their romance was passionate, but laced with fear. Turner's friends and colleagues worried for her safety, as arguments behind closed doors escalated into threats. The tension climaxed in 1958, when Stompanato confronted Turner at her home, fearing for her mother's life. Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, rushed into the room, grabbed a kitchen knife, and stabbed him. He died on the spot. The resulting trial made front-page news, overshadowing even the most sensational Hollywood gossip. Turner tearfully recounted the abuse and threats she'd endured, and the court ultimately ruled the act was justifiable. Despite the verdict, the scandal rocked her career. For years, the name Lana Turner became synonymous with tabloids and tragedy, proving that sometimes the bright lights of Tinseltown could hide dark and dangerous shadows. Debbie Reynolds, Elizabeth Taylor, and Eddie Fisher. Debbie Reynolds and Elizabeth Taylor were once the closest of friends, growing up as teen stars in a demanding industry. Reynolds married singer Eddie Fisher, started a family, and formed one of Hollywood's most wholesome images. Taylor, married to producer Mike Todd, also radiated glamour and enjoyed the camaraderie of their double dates. But when Todd died in a plane crash in 1958, Fisher rushed to comfort the grieving Taylor. Their connection soon turned intimate, sparking an affair that rocked the nation. Public opinion immediately turned against Fisher and Taylor, branding them homewreckers and traitors. Reynolds, portrayed as the devoted wife left in the cold, found sympathy everywhere she went. Fisher divorced Reynolds to marry Taylor, but their union was short-lived. Taylor's subsequent affair with Richard Burton shattered her marriage to Fisher, and the saga extended Hollywood's biggest scandal for several more years. Ironically, Reynolds and Taylor reconciled much later in life, even sharing a laugh about the drama that once tore them apart. However, the betrayal remains one of Tinseltown's most notorious episodes of love turned sour. Even the brightest screen legends were not immune to judgment. The public could glorify a star one day and condemn them the next, an idea vividly displayed in the romances that clashed head-on with morality. Section 7. When Love Clashes with Public Morality. Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini. By the 1940s, Ingrid Bergman was revered as one of Hollywood's purest figures. Her roles in classics like Casablanca presented her as the embodiment of grace and virtue. But personal choices do not always align with public expectations. While married to a Swedish neurosurgeon, Bergman fell for Italian director Roberto Rossellini during the making of Stromboli. This affair, and her subsequent child with Rossellini, ignited intense backlash. A United States senator blasted her on television, and many Americans called for a boycott of her films, claiming she had betrayed her pristine image. Critics labeled her a homewrecker, a scandal that overshadowed her entire career, at least for a time. Under mounting pressure, Bergman left Hollywood for Europe. There, she continued her life with Rossellini, had 3 more children, and embraced a new chapter of film roles. It wasn't until 1956, when she returned to Hollywood to star in Anastasia, that she began to regain public favor, winning another Oscar and reminding audiences of her incredible talent. While she ultimately reclaimed her legacy, Bergman's tumultuous love life stands as a powerful example of how fiercely old Hollywood guarded its moral image and how unforgiving it could be to those who strayed. Vivien Leigh and Laurence Olivier. If there's a single couple who seemed destined for cinematic royalty, it was Vivien Leigh and Laurence Olivier. Leigh's performance in Gone with the Wind catapulted her into international stardom, while Olivier was already considered one of the greatest actors of his generation. Their chemistry was undeniable, prompting an affair that spurred both to leave their spouses. They married in 1940, forging a powerhouse partnership that dazzled both stage and screen. Yet beneath the glamour lay turmoil. Leigh battled severe mental health struggles, commonly described as bipolar disorder, leading to mood swings and unpredictable behavior. Meanwhile, Olivier, despite his adoration for her, found himself drifting into extramarital entanglements, including one with actress Joan Plowright. By 1960, the once golden couple had unraveled, and their divorce became fodder for tabloids eager to exploit the cracks in a supposedly perfect union. When Leigh died in 1967, Olivier was devastated, even though he had already remarried. In many ways, their story illustrates how no amount of fame, fortune, or acclaimed performances could insulate them from the painful, all-too-human complexities of love. Across these hidden affairs, hush-hush marriages, and scandalous betrayals, one theme resonates. Old Hollywood was built on image, but real emotions lingered just beneath the surface. The studios projected fairy tale glamour, yet in the background, actors wrestled with heartbreak, censorship, and sometimes even danger, all in the name of preserving carefully cultivated reputations. From Anthony Perkins and Tab Hunter's closeted romance to Ingrid Bergman's fall from grace and eventual resurrection, these stories underscore the lengths Tinseltown went to maintain illusions. Love could launch a career or wreck it. Contracts were signed, reputations managed, and entire lives shaped by what executives thought audiences wanted to see. Yet love, being what it is, always found ways to slip through the cracks, forever altering the legacies of Hollywood's biggest stars. Perhaps that's the enduring fascination. These hidden romances remind us that no matter how perfect someone appears under the marquee lights, they are still human. Emotions, desires, and personal secrets don't vanish with fame. They merely become more complicated under intense public scrutiny. Today, as we look back on these clandestine love stories, we're not just glimpsing the personal struggles of bygone celebrities. We're also seeing a reflection of the universal push and pull between duty and passion, an eternal conflict magnified by the bright lights of the silver screen. Thank you for joining this journey through old Hollywood's best-kept secrets. If you found these revelations compelling, feel free to share your thoughts or delve further into the era's history. The Golden Age may be decades behind us, but its hidden affairs and game-changing decisions continue to captivate movie lovers around the world. After all, the stories that shaped Hollywood's past have a way of echoing far beyond the final credits.